Hello, welcome to another video with me. Today I am dressed like one of my favorite Kibbe body type dramatic, Kristen Ritter, because in today's video we are going to be talking about dramatic Kibbe body type and astrology representation within the different dramatic muses. So there's not a lot of evident correlation between Kibbe body type and astrology, but the reason why I like to talk about the two in tandem is because your unique birth chart is essentially a blueprint to who you are. Your moon sign can tell you who you are deep down at your most vulnerable. Your rising can tell a lot about your appearance and also what you are naturally drawn to in terms of external expression. And your midheaven can tell a lot about your life purpose career-wise or very pie in the sky dream. If you combine your unique placements and the energies that you give off in your astrological chart with your Kibbe body type, then you can really create a unique signature style for you. So Kibbe body type is all about your unique bone structure and your body type, what cuts and silhouette flatter you the best or give off a certain effect. Okay, so when it comes to dramatics, they are known to be one of the tallest, the most statuesque of the Kibbe body types. You will know that you are dramatic if you have a more angular bone structure. Dramatics are not known for curve. They're not going to have an hourglass figure. They're going to have a little bit more of a straight statuesque figure. They're also going to have what David Kibbe calls yang, which is more angular features in the bone structure. I'm going to briefly touch upon facial essences amongst the different examples I'm going to be giving, because I know there is a lot of rules of what dramatics should not wear. However, I feel like if you have a certain facial essence, you can definitely break those rules or bounce between them. So when it comes to dramatics, they are known for being one of the best Kibbe body types to pull off tailored, sharp, bold type of shapes and silhouettes. But they are also recommended to not wear too much busy patterns, frilly silhouettes. And I want to give some great examples of dramatics who do break these rules and look amazing in them and how it has become part of their signature style. Okay, so starting out with Aries, we have a very prevalent dramatic Kibbe example, and that is Keira Knightley. She is often used as she is the most common, one of the more commonly used dramatic Kibbe examples amongst different content creators, different TikTok videos. You almost always see Keira Knightley be the example for dramatics in terms of modern day example. I'm going to be talking very lovingly about her Aries placements. She is an Aries sun, so am I. Mercury, Venus, and midheaven. It is in a lot of powerful placements in her chart, and you definitely see that in her attitude, not just in what she dresses, because a lot of the clothes that we see her in are definitely character driven and based off of the movies that she plays in. However, even though most of these are costumes, you can definitely see her attitude and Aries energy come out with how she styles them, how she carries herself. Like when she wears that iconic green dress that almost every person wants, including myself. Even though this was done in a period drama, there's still something very effortlessly F-off energy that Keira Knightley always has in almost every role that she plays. I think she also pulls off period drama roles effortlessly. I don't think it actually has to do with her dramatic Kibbe, but I think her facial essence probably teeter-totters between dramatic and classic. I think that's why she pulls off these period drama roles perfectly. But in terms of silhouettes and her dramatic Kibbe, she has a very statuesque figure. So going back to that green dress, the way that it hugs around her hips, and it is, in a way, it follows a lot of what is recommended for dramatic. It is monotone, but it still has these bold details and folds, and it accentuates her long figure and long limbs. And you can definitely see that in a lot of different silhouettes that Keira Knightley already pulls off and has worn in the red carpet, in movies, etc. No matter what role she plays in or whatever she is wearing, her Aries energy is always prevalent. There's a bit of boldness, very carefree type of energy, whether it's when she's showing skin or wearing slip-like dresses, which seems very natural for Aries placements in general. If you have a prevalent Aries energy and you're dramatic, please take pride in that. You have a lot to take pride in. All right, for Taurus energy, we're going to be talking about Taurus rising Cate Blanchett. If you are familiar with my TikToks, you'll know that I have actually referenced her several times for Taurus energy, so please pardon me if you are familiar with some of the stuff that I said, but I stand by her being one of the greatest Taurus representation in general, but we are going to add on to how she's also a great dramatic representation and muse as well. So when it comes to Taurus energy and why I see it so much in her is Taurus is this wonderful mix of luxury, lushness, but also this down-to-earth and very approachable energy. They almost give off this energy of like that super rich billionaire, but you can still like have a beer with them, like they're that approachable. And I'm not saying like go have a beer with Cate Blanchett. Maybe you can, I don't know. There's something very approachable and very effortless cool girl chic about her. Maybe it's because she wears a good mix of these luxurious, very royal-esque colors in the velvets, but she wears them in a silhouette that does feel approachable and almost down to earth. Like she's wearing these velvet suits with these thin scarves. It's very high end. You could tell they're very expensive and very designer probably. But also there's something very, like I mentioned, I'm sorry if I keep repeating it, but that's what it is. It's approachable luxury in a way. And she encompasses the ideal aesthetic of a Taurus, where it's a mix of this richness, but also very carefree, very careless. Her being a dramatic icon is very evident. So when it comes to dramatic Kibbe in general, they are often recommended to wear tailored suits, sharp silhouettes, and she already naturally gravitates towards those silhouettes. She's actually known for her very unique suitings and different iterations of it, and her very monochromatic yet bold looks. And I love that she shows different ways that you can wear a suit where it's not boring or stuffy. It's very fun. Like you can wear the suits that she pulls off to a concert or to a festival. And she is the embodiment of a Taurus dramatic. Okay, so for Gemini representation, I'm going to be talking about a Gemini moon, Hunter Schafer. So Hunter Schafer also has prevalent Aries energy, but I'm going to be talking about her Gemini moon in her style because there's something very unexpected, very experimental, and something very surprising about almost all of the silhouettes that she tends to wear. She's also very changeable in terms of her looks. Like the looks that she wears can be done on the runway or even just something like to like a block party type of deal. When it comes to Gemini energy, they are always very experimental. They have this wit and humor to their style and fashion, and I think you can see that in some of the cuts and silhouettes that she pulls off. She wears a lot of unexpected, surprising cutouts in some of the garments that she wears. She wears a lot of sharp details that very much complement her dramatic Kibbe. I think she also has dramatic features in her facial essence. In terms of her clothing and essence is very strong. I think she also has ethereal essence. There's something about her that kind of reminds me of a younger Tilda Swinton. There's a lot of angel-like features to her. She has a very futuristic style about her, and I feel like there's something very Gemini about that. Geminis are very experimental, and they always like to wear and be the unexpected. Okay, so for Cancer representation, I'm going to be talking about Angelica Houston. So originally I was going to slot her in for Sagittarius representation because whenever I talk about her, especially on my TikToks, as a dark aesthetic muse, I always talk about her Sagittarius rising energy. But the more I was looking into her chart, the more I want to talk about her Cancer representation that she has. It's her Sun and her Mars. And I've noticed that there is this repetition or pattern. She is often casted as the cool mom with an intimidating twist. Like, she is Morticia Addams. And even though we have had several different iterations of Morticia Addams, a lot of people of our generation correlate Morticia with Angelica Houston. No offense to Catherine Zeta-Jones. I actually think she did a really good job in Wednesday, but still, till this day, we still correlate Morticia Addams' look with Angelica Houston. And I think this whole idea of like a dark aesthetic alt mom look, Angelica Houston embodies that like perfectly. But it's not even just like her role in Addams Family. She is often casted as that unconventional cool mom in a lot of Wes Anderson films. And the reason why I'm referring to this unconventional mom role and maternal figure is Cancers are often associated with having this very nurturing maternal energy within them, whether they become a parent or not. And the reason why you can see that in her style is, even though she has a lot of carefreeness in her style, she is a dark aesthetic muse, there is always going to be this softness and etherealness that is very prevalent in water signs in general, and she embodies that perfectly. As a dramatic, if you look at her photos back in the day, she was a model. She's been a muse for many years, and a lot of the silhouettes that she wears that elongate and complement her dramatic Kibbe, there's no doubt or question about her being a dramatic. You can even just see the way she looks compared to other actresses. There's always going to be something a lot more statuesque, and she almost, I don't want to say towers over them, because I said that about dramatics before my Kibbe, and that wasn't like taken kindly, but I think that's a compliment. There's something very goddess-like when it comes to this idea that I'm talking about when I'm describing a dramatic Kibbe, and you can see that perfectly in Angelica Houston. For Leo representation, I'm going to be talking about Leo rising Claire Danes. She is also another often talked about dramatic example. She is verified, and she is a 90s icon. So I know Claire Danes from Romeo and Juliet. She was also a 90s muse in her My So-Called Life, and she's been a style icon for many years. However, when it comes to her looks in general, I feel like, and I mean this in the best possible way, she doesn't need much. Like, she can wear the sleekest, most somewhat plain design, and it still looks very ethereal on her. There's something very almost royal to her look, and that's actually very common amongst Leo risings. Whenever you look up what does it mean to be a Leo rising, it is often said that they have this warmth and radiance to them, and also they feel and look royal. And I think a lot of people associate Leo energy with being very loud and bright, and I think what it really means to have Leo prevalent energy is they don't need to be that bold and that loud in your face, just because they just naturally radiate that. And you can definitely see that in Claire Danes' energy in general. Like I said, she doesn't wear the most loudest, boldest, most in your face type of style. And yet when you look at her, there's just something about her presence that's very captivating. I also don't think photos do Claire Danes justice. Like, you have to actually watch her movies and her interviews to be all like, I get it. I get why she's a big deal, and I get why they cast her in so many things. For Virgo representation, I'm going to be talking about Lauren Bacall, the forever muse, if I'm being honest. And when it comes to Virgo energy, whether you only have it in one placement or just a few, it is never subtle. Like, you can always tell that someone has Virgo in them, whether it's the sharpness in their voice, their bluntness in how they deliver a message, or how everything has to be perfect in a way, like they never miss the little details. Lauren Bacall has her Virgo as her sun and her Mercury, and it is not subtle at all. You can hear it in the sharpness of her voice. Like, she is actually known for her speech and like the way she talks. She has this very sultry, deep voice about her that very much calls attention to her. Also, when she was just starting out, I think she had started out really young in the acting realm. I believe she was like 17, 18. A lot of people were captivated by her cat-like features. Like, a lot of people said there was something very sharks in her eyes and the way she looked at you. Also, there's something about Virgos, like, I just have to give it to them. If anyone can sustain a signature style and be dedicated to it, it's going to be someone with a Virgo placement. She has been so dedicated to her signature hairstyle because, one, it works for her, it is iconic to her, but she is known for keeping her signature hairstyle from when she first started out as an actress to, I believe, her like 70s or 80s. And I think she only slowly stopped doing it due to maintenance, like as you get older. That's a lot of dedication. Like, a lot of people can't commit to the same hairstyle. And I feel like if anyone can, it's going to be a Virgo. And there's something about that I really very much admire. I'm not saying like you have to keep the same haircut your whole life, but I think it's very important to have something signature to you and be known for it. You don't waste your money on different trends, and it becomes a part of you. Another thing I love about Lauren Bacall is not just her look or her voice. There's just something like a very strong, demanding presence about her. I saw this really funny thread on Reddit that people said, like, she's the exact definition of she could spit on my face, and I thank her. She's just chef's kiss. I get shivers looking at her. For Libra representation, I'm going to be talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, and it is in her midheaven, which is oftentimes the placement that is known for your career, how you present yourself in terms of a professional field. And so, as we know, she is one of the most respectable actresses of our time. She is a scream queen, and whenever a role is given to Jamie Lee Curtis, like, we pay attention. And there's something about Libras that are very effortless and very carefree, and I think Jamie Lee Curtis embodies that in general. Even though she is not known for being a style icon, her looks are still iconic, if that makes sense. So she has been sporting her short hair for many years. Like, it has become her signature style, and it wasn't even intentional. Like how I mentioned, Lauren Bacall has like sustained her signature roles, and but that takes maintenance. Jamie Lee Curtis's short hair wasn't trying to be a style icon, but it's more of like a carefree, I don't care type of look, and yet it has become a look, and that's very Libra. I mentioned this many times before, but Libra placements are the type of pretty where they just wake up and there not much needs to be like done or maintained. And Jamie Lee Curtis really much embodies that. Like, she's the epitome of cool girl chic. Also, I love how she pulls off suits. I know she has a stylist, and props to them. As a dramatic, she really pulls them off well. She doesn't need a lot. So when it comes to Libras, there's this radiance and very like soft, approachable energy, yet you don't want to mess with them. And again, like I said, there is that balance when it comes to Libras in their personality and in style. I love that she is able to pull off like soft fabrics, yet sharp tailored looks in the suits that she wears. And in almost every photo that you see of her, she's like smiling, like it's very approachable, and yet she is one of the most respectable people that I could name in Hollywood. For Scorpio energy, I'm going to be talking about a famous Scorpio rising, the femme fatale in a suit, Katharine Hepburn. I know I have talked about her many times before. I believe I've mentioned her several times in different videos, and always talking about her as a Scorpio representation, but now I can finally talk about her Scorpio rising in tandem with her Kibbe body type. She is one of the verified dramatics by David Kibbe himself. When it comes to Katharine Hepburn, she is one of my personal muses when it comes to wearing suits and trousers. Like, I know she's not wearing corporate goth looks, but if you're into corporate goth, she is one of the greatest inspirations to draw from, because she really does wear suits and trousers that are suited to her personally. And what I like about her as a Scorpio rising representation, she still gives off this intense femme fatale, sultry look about her, even though she's wearing essentially menswear inspired garments. She's still able to be that femme fatale of her time and have that main character energy. I've mentioned before that Aries has the main character energy, but I feel like Aries and Scorpio really run parallel with one another with very subtle differences. And one of the things that they definitely have in common is this main character energy. I think Scorpios have it in a darker sense, and dark aesthetics tend to come naturally Scorpio energy in general. I think that's why, even though Katharine Hepburn is not most evidently like an alternative icon, but in a way she kind of is, because of her rebellious nature. And I think it's also just like the intensity in her eyes. And I love that about her. And her as a dramatic, I think she is actually one of the many reasons why David Kibbe often talks about how if you are a dramatic, tailored, sharp silhouettes are going to look best on you. And I think one of the many reasons is because Katharine Hepburn is like personally verified by David Kibbe. So he's using, that's what looked the most natural on her. Like it looked so iconic, but also it just seemed like a second skin to her. And I think if you are a dramatic yourself, wearing what Katharine Hepburn is wearing could be a very good start for a personal style journey. Even though I myself am not a dramatic Kibbe body type, I still draw a lot of inspiration from the garments and silhouettes that she has worn. And I also love that even till this day, we can look at a Katharine Hepburn suit and know like it is her, like it is her signature style. So when I mentioned Cancer, I mentioned that I originally wanted to talk about Angelica Houston as the Sagittarius representation for dramatics. However, after finding out that Grace Jones is a Sagittarius rising, I had to include her. I had to mainly talk about her for Sagittarius representation. I still feel like Angelica Houston still embodies what it means to have that Sagittarius rock glam carefree look, but Grace Jones is like the epitome of the original cool girl. I feel like when it comes to dramatics in general, like they are the definition of dramatic, cinematic, and you can also see that in Grace Jones's style and all the photo shoots. And there's a reason why she is an iconic literal supermodel. Almost every photo that you see of Grace Jones is a literal work of art. And that's something to take pride in, especially if you are a dramatic. You share a Kibbe body type with the iconic supermodels. What I love about Grace Jones is that she wears a lot of unconventional silhouettes. They're oftentimes very experimental. Like I could see Grace Jones wearing like the modern day tabby boots that are trending right now, or a two-collared shirt. Like these unexpected, very high-end designer details looks very natural on a dramatic such as Grace Jones. But when it comes to her Sagittarius energy in general, there's just something very confident, stubborn, and carefree about Sagittarius. They're very rebellious in a very natural way. Like, I don't know if anyone saw the recent Spider-Man movie, but I think Spider-Punk would probably have prevalent Sagittarius energy, like he has to. And I feel like that is just like a common thing amongst Sagittarius placements. Like there just has to be something very my way or the highway about them, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the way you see that in fashion and style, you see it in Grace Jones. Like she does her own thing, and there's something very admirable about that. For my Capricorn representation, she is here for business, but from another world, and that is Tilda Swinton. I feel like when it comes to dramatic essence, like in terms of facial essence, Tilda Swinton is often the one that is referred to, but let's not forget that she also has a dramatic Kibbe body type. I feel like I'm going to mainly focus on a lot of the suits and tailoring that she wears because it looks so natural on her. And I know I mentioned this many times with Grace Jones, but when it comes to dramatics and wearing suits, it's literally a work of art. I know so many people on, like, let's say TikTok, whenever I see people that are dramatics, they're like, oh, I'm so tired of suits being recommended for us. And I get that. I totally get that, but also take pride in it. Like, I am so jealous of the blazers that you dramatics can pull off because it looks so natural on you and can look very casual. And Tilda Swinton is one of the greatest examples of that. Like, you don't have to wear super sharp 80s power suits. Like, she wears them in a way that you would a trench coat, and she wears these menswear inspired trousers, and it feels like second nature to her. And what I love about dramatics is that they can wear what feels like very high-end designer on them, and it looks so natural. When it comes to Tilda Swinton, though, like I said, she is like the epitome of what it means to have dramatic essence and dramatic Kibbe body type, but she also has a very ethereal look to her, and that's why she's often casted in these angel roles, queen, the Ice Queen in Narnia, and there's just something very outworldly about her. And I feel like ethereal energy really mixes well with dramatic energy, and it really creates for this commanding look about them. And how that works with Capricorn energy, David Bowie also has prevalent Capricorn energy. And whenever people think about Capricorns, like they always think about business, here for business, and think that's like a very stuffy, boring thing, but it's not. Like, think about all of the successful people with prevalent Capricorn energy. They have this loudness to them, and yet there's, at the end, is a very I'm here for business, but in a bold way. So like think David Bowie, Tilda Swinton, even Joan Jett has a Capricorn rising as well. So if you have prevalent Capricorn energy or are a Capricorn rising, really think about that whenever people often associate your sign with business and making money and structure and stature. It doesn't have to be done in a stuffy way. And I think Tilda Swinton is a great example for that, because she does pull off these business suits, but it's done in a very outworldly, iconic way. For Aquarius representation, we're going to be talking about Diane Carroll. I don't know if she is verified. There were different like Reddit accounts, different blog posts that were saying that she may be a soft dramatic, but David Kibbe moved her for dramatic. But based off of my personal analysis, I actually think that she is a great representation for the dramatic Kibbe body type. She has a lot of angularity in her shoulders. She has that statuesque figure that I was referring to, and also she pulls off these tailored looks perfectly to the T. She was very iconic in the 80s, and as we know, 80s were known for their power suits, tailored, like matching like top bottom suits for like the power suits for women. And she is known for her role in Dynasty. So whether it's accurate, whether she's a dramatic or not, the bottom line is I think she's a good representation for what a dramatic can wear, and also really good Aquarius representation. What I mean by that is when it comes to Aquarius energy, there's not a lot of consistency. But hear me out, that's actually not a bad thing. Just like Geminis, maybe this is just an air sign thing, but there is a lot of like surprises with them, a lot of unexpected details, and you see that in the fashion. And they kind of, but I feel like Aquariuses are definitely the air signs that will keep you on their toes, and that's why they're known for being very intellectual and artsy in their own whimsical way. Like there's something very unconventional about what an Aquarius chooses to wear. I feel like they always want to have you thinking, and I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but a lot of impressionist painters had prevalent Aquarius energy in them, and I think specifically Aquarius rising. I digress. Diane Carroll, she has a lot of dramatic and unexpected details in what she wears, and there's not a lot of consistency. Like one moment she is very subtle and very classy and very like not a lot of loud details, and the next moment she is wearing this long, sheer, almost cloud-like, angel-like type of dress. And she is actually known for her elegance, but I feel like her elegance always has a twist to it. Like there's just something always unexpected to what she wears. And I know she was known for Dynasty. Like whenever I was researching her, a lot of people recalled her role in that. But what I know her for is playing Whitley Gilbert's mom in the show A Different World. I love that show. That's what I grew up on. And she was only in a few episodes as Whitley's mom, and even in A Different World, she had this sharp look to her that is very dramatic, but there was always something very like bold and unexpected and a little whimsical to her character, as well as what she was wearing. So I think she is a great example, whether she's verified or not. I feel like if you are dramatic, a lot of the lines and silhouettes that she wears, a dramatic can pull off. And she is a great representation of the fun and whimsy that Aquarius embodies. And last but not least, who this coat is dedicated to is Pisces rising Kristen Ritter. So a lot of people actually don't expect her to be a dramatic. I don't actually think she is verified, but she is very tall. When it comes to dramaticness, like if you reach a certain height, you are without a doubt a dramatic. And it's more than just that. She has legs for days. It's great. And she definitely has the figure of like what you expect of a supermodel that you see in like Hunter Schafer or Angelica Houston. Like she has very model-esque features. And the reason why people often are surprised whenever people are like, she is without a doubt a dramatic, it's because of what she wears and also her facial essence. She has very evident gamine essence. She wears a lot of gamine lines. Like she wears the unexpected frilly skirts that you would expect of a gamine. She wears a lot, almost like 1960s silhouettes. And there's always something very coquette about some of the things that she wears. When it comes to Pisces rising or Pisces energy in general, their etherealness in terms of aesthetic kind of feels like dark fae or a dark ballet core look. Like there's something very light and airy yet a little bit dark aesthetic about them, and I love that. I'm sorry if that sounds a little biased because I am a Pisces rising. Also, when it comes to Pisces energy in general, and you definitely see that in Kristen Ritter, there's always going to be something a little outworldly and a little like, where did that come from? Something very different about a Pisces in terms of aesthetic, and a lot of people translate that as an artsy look or an alternative look. And I feel like Kristen Ritter embodies a bit of that. Like she has a bit of that alternative yet coquette look about her. So in terms of the silhouettes that she wears a lot of things that actually aren't recommended for a dramatic. She wears bold colors, she wears in-your-face patterns, and she wears very short lines and poofy skirts. And yet it works on her, and a lot of people know her for it. And I think people often forget that whenever things are recommended for your Kibbe body type, it's for like your body type alone, and it doesn't really account for face truly. I know David Kibbe has mentioned that facial features were part of his description, but in his most recent writings, he's mentioned that Kibbe only focuses on the body. And I think that leaves room for interpretation of like, you can have a mix of different facial essence and body essence. And you can see that in Kristen Ritter, like she is the embodiment of having a gamine face, but a dramatic body. Pull off what is recommended for a dramatic, but also a gamine. And I think that's where you can really play around with what will become your signature style, like it did for Kristen Ritter. And I think you should take pride in that. As a Pisces rising, I still take a lot of inspiration from her and that brings me back to why I relate Kibbe and astrological placements. What Kibbe and astrology have in common is that they are things about you that don't change. And once you dissect what it means to be these individual pieces and how they're unique to you and how you have this unique combination of things, that's what becomes your signature style. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, have a good one. Bye.